Hey everybody, this is Dan.
And this is Ron.
This is a nominee questionable movies.
Welcome, everyone.
As we enter the 90s, I believe is this episode 90?
Let's see. This is probably episode 88. So we're getting close.
Oh, okay, good. So we got a treat for you from the 80s in the 80s. Today we're going to be talking about Lost in America, 1985. Co-written by Albert Brooks, directed by Albert Brooks, starring Albert Brooks, and you get a little bit of Julie Hagerty in there, and you get to see Gary Marshall act.
That's right. That's right.
I think this is one of the. I can't think of another time I saw Gary Marshall in front of the camera.
And he's not a nice guy.
He's not what I would expect Gary Marshall to be. Like, that's not the man I thought directed New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day or any number of other classic ensemble comedies.
Big, creating Happy Days.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that was right. He was the guy who actually jumped the shark.
Right.
He
was he still involved with the show when it jumped the shark?
I mean, it's not like his name is some kind of great seal of quality, so maybe I don't know.
But it means sweetness and family.
Right, it means like sweet comedy that isn't funny. So it's like decaffeinated coffee with a bunch of sugar packets in it.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there that think that his stuff is funny enough to make him a super multimillionaire.
Right. I'm saying, like, he's definitely the Gary Marshall Twitter army are gonna come after us. Like whatever I was gonna say the Gare Hive, like the Bay Hive, or like I don't know, but I heard those Gary Marshall fans, they get pretty vicious.
The Marshall Force, the Marshall Army,
like to institute martial law.
Yeah, there we go. The Marshall Army that institutes martial law.
The big screens at Times Square are only going to play New Year's Eve on repeat for the rest of eternity. But yeah, so this movie, so you never saw Lost in America before, right?
Correct. I thought I had, but what I remembered was a very different movie. So I either saw a small bit of it or I knew what it was about. I may have even seen a trailer. Probably I saw a tiny bit of it. But yeah, it was not what I remembered. So, speaking of, would you like to describe the plot?
Okay, so we have a movie about Albert Brooks with Albert Brooks. There's a few of those. And he and Julie Hagerty, they're both married. He works at an ad agency. He makes a lot of money. She seems to make quite a bit of money too. They're very comfortable. He's talking about buying a Mercedes. And then he gets a transfer at his work to New York, blows up in the guy's office, and he's just like, what?
He was expecting a promotion.
Right, he was expecting a promotion, and then he gets transferred to work on the Ford trucking advertising account, which has got to be like huge. And
shit, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Fuck. I just spilled tea.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Should I cut this part out or keep it in?
It's up to you. So what exactly did you spill, Ron, for all the people listening at home?
Iced tea.
Oh, okay.
Moving it from one side to the other, and I ended up hitting it.
So you're spilling it in your home, and now we're bringing it into theirs.
Yeah. All right. So, do you remember what you last said?
So he like gets really pissed off. He didn't get the promotion, quits his job, makes a big scene, goes over to his wife's work, and he's like, "Yo, let's like go live out of a camper like they did in Easy Rider." There's like a lot of very funny, very biting references to Easy Rider in this movie, which I appreciate. And they do it. They sell off a bunch of their stuff. They buy a Winnebago, and they decide that the first thing they're going to do is drive to Vegas and get remarried.
And they're selling all their stuff, includes the house. So they have $190,000, which Albert Brooks keeps referring to their nest egg. This is how they're going to survive this way.
And so they get to Vegas. They go to the hotel. He gets sleepy, falls asleep. He goes over to the casino.
Well, he wakes up and Julie Hagerty is not in bed.
She's not in bed. He goes down to the casino. She's just screaming 22. over and over and over again. She wins $35, and then he asks her how much she lost. She lost literally all of the money overnight. And then the rest of the movie is them trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do with like $1,000 to their name.
Uh-huh.
And no actual life skills, like living in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And they both like they go out to
They go to Hoover Dam first.
they go to the Hoover Dam. They get into a big argument about money. I think like one of the things that really strikes me about this movie is that it's one of the few like romantic film. The only other one I can think of is like The Money Pit with Tom Hanks, where it's literally most of the movie is like a couple arguing about money.
Uh-huh.
Which I think is really interesting. And but anyway, yeah, so they go to a small town. He gets a job as a crossing guard. She gets a job as the assistant manager at the Wiener Schnitzel. Finally, they decide, all right, we're not actually living in Easy Rider. And he goes back to New York, eats shit, and takes a pay cut.
And he literally uses the phrase "eat shit."
Eat shit, right?
This is Julie Hagerty, like, you want me to eat shit, but that's what he was thinking too.
Right.
That's the solution.
You want me to go back to New York and eat shit? Yes.
Yeah.
Get out of the camper, Wiener Schnitzel boy.
Yeah.
Right. And there's just a lot of very subtly funny moments in this movie. And I think just like having been in a long-term adult relationship with slightly entangled finances,
Uh-huh.
which I had not been when I first saw this movie, I think a lot of this like hit home, just like arguing about money.
Okay.
And like people like shared impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can kind of see how easily a full ado could happen.
How easily a what could happen?
A full ado.
What?
Shared madness.
Oh.
It's
was
like
that Latin? No, that was French.
It's French. Yeah, it's like a psychology term for like when one person has like sort of contagious madness.
Okay.
So like sometimes like Leopold in the Lab, probably only one of them would have ended up being a serial killer or something, but it was a full ado.
Got it.
Or like the Columbine shooter, sometimes that's considered a full ado, although usually it's used in a romantic context.
Okay.
And you can kind of see he has this like vague idea of we're going to save the money, we're going to live conservatively.
Mm-hmm. And she buys
Neither one of them understands anything about what living conservatively money-wise means. And you can kind of like, there's nothing in the movie that's that, like, it's not a movie built around surprises. It's a movie built around showing something really bad is going to happen and it's really obvious, and then just kind of bringing you through it happening, just really a train wreck unfolding.
Okay. All right.
Right, like you can tell the second they have that party with all their like advertising friends, and they're like, we're gonna go live in the middle of nowhere like Easy Rider, but first we're gonna go to Vegas and get married. Like, you know what's gonna happen. You know they're not actually gonna like rediscover the 60s. And I think the fact they're using Easy Rider as a reference point, I think this is one of the movies that really define kind of the yuppie as like fallen or corrupted hippie.
Okay.
Like cultural archetypes.
Because there's nothing they don't understand, or at least certainly Albert Brooks doesn't understand what Easy Rider was about, or how it worked, or what the characters were like, or what situation they were in. And
well, I mean, when was the last time you saw Easy Rider?
For starters, just look at that. The guys in Easy Rider were on big motorcycles. Meanwhile, they're in a Winnebago. Okay, sorry, you were gonna say.
Well, like, when's the last time you saw Easy Rider, though?
Oh God, I can't remember how long ago it was. I saw it probably about 15 years ago, but I also saw it when I was probably about 15. At least parts of it. Oh no! I confuse it with 5 Easy Pieces sometimes. I might have seen
5 Easy Pieces is the one with Jack Nicholson screaming at the guy in the restaurant.
Yep, and that's the scene I remember. Well, he and the waitress get into it because he wants a tuna sandwich.
Right.
No, he wants toast, and they won't give him just toast. So he orders a tuna sandwich. My dad used to do that all the time as a joke. He'd repeat it. And I remember when my sister and I discovered that was part of a movie. Well, oh my God, that's where, it was funny in a very different way in that movie. But anyways, back to Easy Rider.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of what, like, I don't get the sense that Albert Brooks, the man, actually likes Easy Rider very much. And you can kind of see where a lot of the self-indulgence of the 80s yuppie culture is already baked into something like Easy Rider, right? Like the defining moment of Easy Rider for me is when they've been acting like complete jackasses for the whole movie. They're sitting around a campfire or something. And I think it's Peter Fonda says to Dennis Hopper, he's like, they hate us because we're free or because of our freedom or something. Literally what George Bush said about Osama bin Laden like 40 years later. And yeah, there's just a lot of like Easy Rider in terms of late 60s, like counterculture movies. It's probably the most self-indulgent in terms of like, there's no real sense of a broader political or cultural context. It's just sort of like, well, we're having sex and doing drugs because we're actually libertarians.
Okay.
And I think Brooks kind of understands that, and he brings that out to the fore, I think, a lot. Like, in a lot of ways, this is kind of a satire of Easy Rider, the same way that Real Life is a satire of the PBS An American Life series or An American Family series.
Uh-huh. But I don't understand your comparison to George Bush. What George Bush said was 40 years later, and it was in reference to something very different.
Very different, but it's the same kind of like complete lack of self-awareness, right? Because like the Osama bin Laden hated us because we'd been like basically bombing shit for oil for decades. People hated Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper and Easy Rider because they were going around acting like deadbeats selling cocaine various places.
Okay.
In neither case was the actual, they don't actually hate you for your freedom. There's
other reasons they hate you. There's the real reasons. That's a little bit of icing on the top.
Right. And by the time of the Bush administration, Dennis Hopper had become like a raving conservative, and it kind of makes sense when you go back to Easy Rider. And I think that Lost in America is one of the most like savage comedies of the 1980s in terms of just like shitting on every. And I feel like Albert Brooks doesn't get a lot of attention because the Albert Brooks character in an Albert Brooks movie is usually inherently unlikable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, did you like the guy in this movie?
Not especially. I mean, I understood him, but it's somebody I might talk to for a little bit at a party. But other than that, he'd just be really annoying.
The things you relate to are things you don't want to relate to when it's an Albert Brooks, or like.
Okay.
Modern Romance is the one he did between Real Life and this one. That one might be even more cringy than Lost in America. It's like he's dating this woman. They get into endless stupid fights. He goes and he like buys her stuffed animals. They get back together and they start fighting again. And it's just like it's like the anti-Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah, okay.
And he's just like so good at just sort of like hating on the culture, I guess, or he was for like a good 7 or 8 years of that. Although I don't know, Mother was decent. Mother's like kind of the closest he got to the initial 3 movies. And so Albert Brooks was like, I'm kind of curious how you first were exposed to Albert Brooks, because he's been in like a lot of very different small contexts in the culture.
Broadcast news.
Okay.
And to add to that, Broadcast News is written and directed by James L. Brooks. And for decades, I'd confused the two and think of it as an Albert Brooks movie.
Right. And he's in it. He does act in it. And
he plays a very important role in it.
And it's interesting, too, like the Albert Brooks connection to The Simpsons, I think.
No, that was James L. Brooks. Was it?
Well, James L. Brooks has the bigger connection to The Simpsons, but I think like the scene where there's no way the episode of The Simpsons where Marge goes to Vegas and immediately blows all of their money, like there's no way they weren't thinking about this movie when they wrote that, at least for my money. Like, not that like losing all your money at the casino isn't a trope, but like how they specifically did it.
I'm looking at let's see. I'm just looking online for Albert Brooks and The Simpsons. I'm at simpsonswiki.com. Let's see.
I think he did some voices on The Simpsons, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times. He appeared on the Simpsons 8 times.
And you know who his brother is?
James L. Brooks?
No. His last name isn't actually Brooks.
Yeah, so it's Einstein. He's Albert Einstein.
Yeah. And so his brother is Bob Einstein.
Okay.
Who you may know as Super Dave.
No, are you serious?
Yeah, or Marty Funkhauser on Curb Your Enthusiasm, the guy with the like voice.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. That's Albert Brooks' brother.
Oh, wow. Very different characters that they portray.
Very different, yeah. And they were both like Hollywood kids that ended up doing comedy, yeah. But and Albert Brooks was doing a lot of like really weird short movies for Saturday Night Live before this. But I think the tone of it compared to most other 80s comedies is like, I don't want to say it feels like a Robert Altman movie just because I watched California Split a few weeks ago, but like it's closer to Altman than say like Pee Wee Herman or like a John Hughes movie or something, or like it's like very, very low key for an 80s, or like Police Academy. Like
I was gonna say that, yeah.
You think they're like completely different genres. Yeah. But yeah, so like your first time watching it, what did you take away?
I liked it. So I didn't find it cringeworthy because it was really funny. And yeah, I had a hard time. What's the word? Well, yeah, when I would see myself in either character, it wasn't their best qualities that I could see, but it was more like laughing at my own similar qualities. And less so I think about the relationship between the two, or looking for any like a deep connection in the relationship between the two. Having dealt with not having dealt with the freedom, but having dealt with the financial kind of stuff, like you said, and yelling about or having arguments. Yeah, I wouldn't say yelling, but having arguments about money and finances.
It was like a more operatic version of like me and my ex going to the grocery store.
Operatic?
Well, yeah, because we never lost $190,000 at the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
But
I lost a house.
You did lose a house.
So in fact, in absolute numbers, I actually lost more than Albert Brooks and Julie Hagerty, but 1985 versus 2015 dollars, it might be about the same. So,
and you didn't even get to travel around in a Winnebago.
No, I did not. Although that said, I would have hated riding around. What was that?
I love that gag at the beginning about the microwave, because it's just dated in such a perfect way. Like the fact that people are that excited about a microwave.
Oh, right.
Right. Like it has browning features, which I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I know now if there's you can get frozen meals with this or pizzas and stuff, and they have that sort of silvery metallic coating.
You know what that is, right?
No.
It's just really thin aluminum.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, you can put metal in the microwave, but you can't have it be like basically it's like really tiny spots of aluminum all over the tray. Like you're talking about the pizza bagels kind of tray.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing that makes it like blow up in the microwave, like if you put like a sheet of aluminum foil in the microwave, it's going to start sparking and your microwave's going to get set on fire.
Right.
But if you like broke it into a bunch of really, really tiny pieces, the microwave would work.
Oh, interesting. So that's what that is? A whole bunch of teeny tiny
just tiny bits of aluminum on the cardboard tray, yeah.
Okay. But I didn't remember that being around that early. I thought that wasn't
Uh,
developed till later, not
I
85.
don't
So I
know if
wonder what they're
that's
using.
like that might have been a joke, maybe.
About the Browning feature?
Like I don't think there's actually such a thing as Mercedes leather,
Okay.
right? There's
Okay.
like that
Yeah.
gag earlier in the movie where it's like, well, we can give you it comes with Mercedes leather. What's Mercedes leather? It's thick vinyl.
Now I'm looking it up. Um difference between leather and Mercedes leather. Let's see if this says anything. No, that's a real thing.
That is a real thing. Okay.
Yeah. Most Mercedes, oh, this is from mercedesmarket.com. Most Mercedes-Benz interiors are upholstered with Mercedes proprietary faux leather, a vinyl material called MB Tex. It looks a lot like leather and is often mistaken for real leather, but is much more durable and lasts seemingly forever without cracking or wearing. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Sounds like it's better than the real leather.
Browning in microwaves, 1980s. Let's see if that gives us anything. Were there microwaves in the 1980s? Is a rusty microwave dangerous? Ooh.
Is it?
Conversion. 6 vintage microwave ads show the evolution of nuking your food. Let's see. Looking up the word brown. A browning element to help housewives who found the grayish color of microwave meat unappealing. Oh, but it won't say what year that was. It just says eventually that was introduced.
I love when she hands him the sandwich. She calls it melted cheese.
Yeah, it's not a grilled cheese sandwich. It's a melted cheese sandwich.
Melted cheese, right? That's like the Bachelor grilled cheese, right? Where you just like you take 2 pieces of bread and you put them in the microwave.
That's what I do.
Are you a
Sometimes,
Bachelor, Ronald?
sometimes, yeah, I guess I am.
Mm,
Does a living alone divorcee count as a bachelor?
that would sound like it. Yeah,
All right, I'm a bachelor then. I
I
don't
am
put
also a Bachelor.
divorced on stuff. I just write single. I was writing divorce for a while, and then I'm like, nobody needs to know. It's bad enough that they want the details of my relationship status,
Mm,
and it's complicated isn't an option.
right. I
It always
usually
just,
I just write this guy fucks.
oh, nice,
On
nice.
every like on my census, I just wrote this guy fucks.
Or just TGF for short, and leave them guessing. Oh, by the way, you're smoking now. Did I show you well, like what I've been smoking?
Is it crack?
No, no, that's for another day. Wait, one moment. Okay, no, what I've been, no, it's not been crack. It's been oops. Let's say this again because I would have recorded that. No, it's not been crack. It's been this thing. So for those of you at home, Dan, would you like to describe it?
It looks kind of like a black
Imagine
stick.
like a way.
Looks like a big black pack of gum.
There we go. Or now imagine a bunch of ape people jumping around at the bottom. What does it look like?
The monolith.
Yeah,
Is that why you got it?
I've been smoking out of the monolith. So it just has this thing at the top that has the concentrate, and it just fits in there, and boom, it's like smoke out of it, and it's instantaneous.
Nice.
I still cough, but it's a lot smoother than, and you don't get smoke all over the place. Just sort of a little
Right.
bit when you're puffing.
Vapor.
Yeah, a little bit of vapor because it's a vape pen. So,
The vapor.
but it does mean going to the dispensary instead
Mm.
of instead of having it delivered. I guess I
Oh
could.
yeah, I'm still like yeah, I got like the Sam's Club. So I can't abandon the Sam's Club weed.
Sam's Club.
Yeah, it was just really, really, really cheap.
Oh, is that the stuff that you?
It was yeah. I have like I have a lot of weed.
The stuff that was grown in where you know who grew
It was grown with a browning element.
it. Wait, won't that ruin it?
The strain is called melted cheese.
Wouldn't browning it ruin it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to, so you can just like eat straight weed and get high.
Without activating it in any way?
Well, that's where the browning comes in. So like if you just want to eat straight, you just want to put it on a salad or something because you're like too lazy to make brownies and you don't like have taste buds.
Uh-huh.
You just break it into little. You put it through a grinder, basically. You put it on like a tray, and then you put it in like a toaster oven for a few minutes.
Uh-huh.
That activates it.
Oh,
You
okay.
can end up with like crispy little pieces of weed that you could theoretically eat and get
Sounds like
psychoactive with.
oh, that sounds like when you eat like crispy kale and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like crispy kale, but it like doesn't taste good. Um,
That's true. Crispy kale doesn't taste that bad. It tastes a lot better than like leafy kale.
yeah, crispy kale's good. Yeah, with the like the oil and the salt and the crispy. Yeah. So, are this in real life the only two Albert Brooks directed movies you ever saw?
Possibly. Does he always put himself in the movies?
I think he's in all of them. Yeah, he was in. I'm trying to think. There's only like 6 or 7 of them. There's one with Meryl Streep called "Defending Your Life" that has like a few funny parts in it.
I've seen that.
There's Mother, and then I think the last one that he directed was probably 10 years ago. Is called "Looking for Comedy in the Muslim World," and it wasn't offensive, but it wasn't good.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's too
It
bad.
was it was just sort of like he goes around trying to do a stand-up comedy tour as Albert Brooks in like Iraq.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it was like not a great career capper. I think he kind of peaked early because his stand-up record's really funny. I think Defending Your Life is where he starts to kind of lose the script, but like his really early stuff, I think, is almost like he's doing almost like a Gary Shandling thing,
Uh-huh.
like in real life or in the Saturday Night Live shorts. And even in a lot of his trailers were really weird. Like the one of the trailers for real life, it was in, the like stereoscopic 3D with the red blue glasses.
Uh-huh.
And it's like that, and it's just him throwing a pinky ball at the camera for like 3 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, do you feel the 3D effect? Do you feel it yet? I don't think he says it quite like that, but like, yeah, there's like a lot of playing around with what is American comedy going to be, and then also like what are the social, and I think he sees this stuff as being political or at least cultural satire. I think more directly than a lot of other comedic filmmakers that were working in that period.
Except for The Money Pit. You put that on par with his work.
Well, I wasn't saying The Money Pit was necessarily good. I haven't seen The Money Pit in probably 20 years, but no, it's just the only other movie I can think of where it's like a romantic movie about a couple where most of the movie is them arguing. And even like The Money Pit, like most of the movie isn't actually them arguing about the money. Like a good portion of the movie is them arguing about money, but I think Lost in America probably has the most realistic, like domestic arguments about money
Okay.
I've seen in a movie, because I think it's not a thing that's brought up that directly that often, like especially with figures.
What do you mean with figures? Oh, with
like
the actual
specific numbers.
Okay.
And yeah, there's just like an acknowledgement of like class status. I mean, the closest thing, if I was seeing this in 1985, like the closest comparison I could think is maybe like early 80s Woody Allen, but Woody Allen doesn't really put much about class status in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of presumed that everybody's like financially fine and living in New York City somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's also like not a lot of, I don't think he sees himself as primarily a satirist. I think he sees himself primarily as a performer.
Okay.
Versus like Brooks. Brooks is not a particularly charismatic performer. Like he can do what he needs to do in his movies, but he doesn't have like that Chaplin, Keaton, W.C. Fields kind of factor, which I think works to his advantage in some cases because he can play a wider range of characters.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess if there's like an Albert Brooks equivalent of like the Woody Allen Nebbish, it's like this 80s yuppie guy who has no grasp on reality. He seems to play those like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And he's a complainer and hot-headed.
yeah, he gets like actually angry quite a bit in this
Right.
movie, which is interesting because a lot of other comedic movies, I think they shy away from people getting actually angry unless it's like somebody chasing somebody very cartoonishly because they're afraid it's going to like ruin the tone, maybe.
He also gets angry a lot in real life. Real life, is that what it's called? No, I've got
Yeah, real life.
Real life. He gets angry a lot in that one too.
Mm. Yeah, he's sort of like he's this guy who's seemingly put together until you spend like 10 minutes with him, and then it turns out there's this seething madness under the surface of 80s yuppie culture.
See, maybe part of the reason why I didn't feel the cringiness is that from early on, some of the conversation didn't seem real to me. Like it was satire from the start. So when they have the argument in bed, and I forget exactly what they say about each other, but they talk to each other and about their shortcomings as if it's brand new, as if this is the first time they've had this argument, as it's the first time they had a realization about each other's flaws, major flaws. And they'd been together for 8 years. It's not like suddenly after 8 years this all came to a head. There wasn't really a precipitating event where they're like, oh, now I see what you're really like.
And I think if you had any other two characters, I think the fact that it underlines how oblivious they are.
Yeah.
Like they have this false feeling of control over their environment. I guess you could say, like the first thing after, and also like to make a quick point about the dialogue early in the movie. There's a few like Arrested Development style jokes thrown in there. The one that's coming to mind is when he's on the phone with the guy. His name's David Hauer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy's like, David Hauer, how are you, David? It's his name in reverse.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah.
No,
wait.
What's the
like
rest
silly jokes? Yeah, that's not like super realistic, but it's fairly subtle. But
what's the Arrested Development comparison?
Well, like Bob Loblaw, just sort of like silly wordplay.
Okay.
Kind of stuff. And I think like also just I don't know, the movie feel like technically they're supposed to be in New York City, but they feel very Los Angeles to me, this couple.
No, they're from Los Angeles.
Wait, then why does he go back to New York City at the end of the movie? Oh wait, right.
Transferred there.
Wait, never mind.
That's where the job is now. Yeah, no, that makes sense. If they felt very late to you, then it worked.
Right.
Where's Albert Brooks from? I always imagine him.
He's got to be from LA, yeah.
You think? Wait, now I'm gonna look this up.
There's no way he's from New York. If he's not from like within 50 miles of Los Angeles, then I'm a monkey's uncle. Like,
let's see. Oh, you're right. Beverly Hills. Brooks was born Albert Lawrence Einstein, this is from Wikipedia, into a Jewish show business family in Beverly Hills, California, to Thelma Leeds, née Goodman, a singer and actress, and Harry Einstein, a radio comedian who performed on Eddie Cantor's radio program and was known as Parkiakarkus. Oh, I get it.
it's kind of interesting. There's like a career parallel there with like Chris Elliott too.
How so? Oh,
well, their fathers were both radio comedians, and then they went and sort of did like genre questioning television afterwards.
Okay.
It's a tenuous connection, but yeah, they're just so oblivious, and they think they have this control over their surroundings just by like wishing them to be a certain way. And I think it's most telling when they're in the little restaurant in the hotel after he finds out she lost the money, and he's just like screaming at her like, why couldn't you tell me you had a gambling problem before you knew you had a gambling problem?
Yeah.
Like, or just going into the casino owner and saying like, hey, what if you gave us our money back?
Yeah,
it's a promotional stuff, right? Like it's like the kind of stuff you'd see in like a Karen video or something now.
Oh,
like this is the level of like white privilege and entitlement.
Uh-huh.
and I think he makes it palatable. If they weren't so oblivious, it's sort of like Arrested Development. If they weren't oblivious, this would be like such a bleak, awful movie. Like they just be the most despicable human beings. You know, they're just like going around being stupid and kind of like acting. They seem like large children, honestly, for a lot of the movie.
Like what children?
Like large children.
Yeah, okay. I guess the way the way he responds to stuff, definitely. And her,
they get like really excitable, and they're like thinking about everything in terms of like they're not thinking about anything logistically. They're just sort of like, does this sound cool? Like, oh, is there a reason we should go to Las Vegas? No, you know, it sounds cool in front of all these people who we're theoretically never gonna have to talk to again.
I need to turn something off. It keeps me. Can you hear the pings? Somebody keeps
Somebody's texting you.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to turn this off. Wait, let me pause it.
Ron's
it'll pick it. There we go. Sorry, I was just concerned that it would get it'll get picked up by my mic.
It beepy.
Yeah, and go bing, 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 bing. Plus, it was a very annoying. The messages also kept appearing and were distracting and were very annoying. So,
or like when they get pulled over by the cop, and he's like trying to negotiate his way out of the ticket by being indignant. That is such like, if somebody shot that on their cell phone, like that actual encounter, that would be on Reddit tomorrow. Just like the guy would be like, oh, yeah. Oh, I forget what he says before Julie Hagerty comes out and saves him with the Easy Rider thing. And even then, just like that whole scene there's so many subtle, great little jokes in there where she's like, oh, have you seen Easy Rider? And then he's like talking about how great the ending was where they both get shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, wait, I think you got the wrong message from this movie.
But yeah, just the fact that he think like, because the guy tells him stay in the Winnebago, and then he goes out because he's like, you know, this what the police officer says to me does not apply to me.
Yeah, in the same way that he goes to the casino owner or casino manager and says, hey, how about you give me my money back?
Yeah, and I think this movie's only got more relevant since the last time I saw it. Like, it feels like it's touching pretty directly on a lot of issues right now, although it is doing it from this like I think it's coming at it from a perspective of much more widespread financial comfort than I think like something like this now would be coming from. Although I guess like the wealth disparity thing, you have like it's just like it's such a vastly different experience being extremely on one end of it versus the other end of it, that you're just sort of completely out of touch with the other thing. And like when they get to that tiny town in Arizona, and he just thinks there's going to be another advertising job there.
Yeah. Like when he goes to the employment office.
Right. It's just so, yeah. And I think I like that about Brooks, is that he seems to have no desire to make his character to be liked as the protagonist of any of these movies. He's just sort of like,
he's not saying love me, love me. He's saying I'm a terrible person.
Right.
Enjoy my company, but despise me.
Yeah. And I think like, although there is like a moral message behind all of it, I think, which separates it from like Seinfeld. You have a bunch of like fairly financially comfortable people,
right,
in New York City, sort of being oblivious. But this, I guess this puts the couple in more contact with the outside world. And like, do you think Gary Marshall actually talks like that?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, it's weird. He sounds like some kind of like mobster or something.
Well, I mean, that's him.
Sounds like he could have like done a guest spot on The Sopranos in that scene.
He usually sounds a little more jovial, but he does. Here, let's pull up a clip. Actually, here, I'm going to pause it. Let me pause it for a moment. All right, Dan, here is not Gary Shanley, Gary Marshall from an interview from October 2017.
It helped me in Korea, helped me in life. And in Korea, they used to ship the Bob Hope show over here. It was Academy Awards. So, and he had a lot. And the enemy changed. Whatever was the enemy, it was North Korea. We don't get into that. They're doing very, but they would jam the network. They would, so you would get the show, but they knew everybody liked the Academy Awards.
So, anyways, so what do you think? Does it sound like he does in the movie?
Sounds pretty similar, yeah.
Except that he laughs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's like a funny part when he's having the meeting with the guy and he's like, "You make me laugh," but he hasn't laughed
Right.
the entire meeting.
Yeah. He does give him a concession.
Everybody's sort of treating him like a child.
Treating Albert Brooks like a child. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like normalized.
Okay.
Right? Like he doesn't think that there's anything weird about it. That's just how he's used to being treated.
And he's used to he's expecting that everyone is going to do stuff the way he imagines it.
Right.
Like in his world, of course, he's going to get their money back because that's what he wants. I want my money back. Oh, I
want the promotion, not the transfer.
Yeah. Wah, here's the tantrum. Give me my promotion. Wah, fuck you, which he says. And then a casino, wah, I want my money back. Do a promotion. Okay, he doesn't do it quite that whining, but
well, it's more like angry, threatening whining though. But it's like I remember the only time I was in an advanced placement course in high school, a lot of the kids had like helicopter parents. And so the kid would get like a B on an essay or something, and then you'd see the parent come in and they'd just be like doing like Albert Brooks in this movie, but to the teacher, it's like, my kid deserved an A. Yeah. Why do I show up to all this school board meetings? Yeah. It's like there's so many people like these people.
My kid deserved an A. Oh, we had that in I remember in high school at least 2 incidents like that. At least those were the rumors, but they were pretty strong and believable rumors, and they at least provided a simple explanation for what had happened. One of them was a teacher that gave someone an A- who had been earning straight A's. So we had 2 students who had been earning straight A's, and the teacher gave them like an A- or a B or something like that. And the parents threatened to sue the teacher directly, not just the school, but the teacher, if they didn't give him an A, because it meant that he wouldn't be valedictorian.
Like
the salutatorian's parents did not do that. If she earned an A- at some point, they accepted that A-.
Yeah, that stuff gets like so intense.
Yeah. But you said that Albert Brooks probably had a big album collection. I don't think Albert Brooks has a big album collection because he sold it all.
Right. But before he sold it all, I'm sure he probably had like probably some Duran in there.
Duran. Ooh, I don't know.
Duran to me just feels like very like early 80s advertising aesthetic, but
he seems like he's like 10 years older than who was really into Duran.
That's true. Yeah, maybe he was a little too old for Duran.
Yeah. How old would he have been at that point? Do you know when he was born?
Brooks himself?
Yeah. Let's see.
I want to guess he would be in his early to mid 30s when he made that movie.
Let's see. He was born in 47, so that would have made him 38. He would have been familiar with Duran, but he might not have been a fan.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I feel like the timeline on the couple is a little bit weird in the movie, right? Because he goes to the employment office and he basically says, "I've been working at this advertising firm for 8 years," and then everything else he says sounds like it was high school employment. So from that, you would presume that his age was probably somewhere around like 28 to 30. Although I don't think like when they were scripting it, I don't think they were thinking about it in terms of like, oh, the years have to add up. The other thing that's sort of that I didn't catch the first time I saw this was that it was co-written.
Oh, who wrote it with him?
Monica Johnson, who I have never heard of.
Okay.
Maybe she's Mrs. Albert Brooks. Maybe she's like, she has a lot of credits and she's just like in the background, but I have never heard of a Monica. I mean, have you ever heard of a Monica Johnson?
No, but what oh, here we go. Let's see. What is she known for? Oh, she's known for Mother, Lost in America. Her experience might have, no, let's see. She's done some other things. Mother, The Scout. She wrote for a couple of episodes of It's Gary Shandling Show. A few episodes of Laverne and Shirley. Modern Romance.
Okay, so she had like a close tie. She has some kind of close tie with Brooks.
Yeah. Let's see. Was she? Yeah, she co-wrote Modern Romance with Albert Brooks, and she was one more credit. And Harry Shearer, and Albert Brooks. Wow, Harry Shearer wrote Real Life.
Okay.
So she has, definitely a strong Albert Brooks connection. I wonder what the connection was with Albert Brooks. What did you say? Was she a former wife or a former lover?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't know, like there's,
let's see.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just like a guess, because it seems like a lot of their shared screenwriting stuff is about adult heterosexual couples.
No, here we go. I'm looking at a Wikipedia article, and it just says blah, blah, blah. Then began her long-term screenwriting collaboration with Albert Brooks in '79 with the film Real Life. The two co-wrote 5 more of Brooks's film over the following 2 decades. Wow. All right. But it was just a collaboration, a professional collaboration that we know of.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people are like, I don't know. I never quite understood when people could like work on creative projects with somebody they were dating, but it seems to happen.
Yeah, so they probably weren't. Well, at least not for that long a time with being married to other people. Which again,
maybe there's five Fleetwood Mac records after Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined, and
yeah.
Never no, it doesn't. Damn.
It doesn't sound, at least there wasn't any kind of open relationship. Whereas with Fleetwood Mac, it was like, everybody knew it was the drama was all on stage practically.
Mm-hmm. And I think in this movie you have like a lot of just really, really good observations about that shift in the US culture towards like a kind of religion of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of started with Ayn Rand and the John Birch Society and that kind of stuff. And then by the 80s, it's like in full swing. And then I think it's come back in waves just because it's like a natural response to an artificial system.
Well, aren't we seeing this with the anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers?
Yeah. It's like this idea of, okay, well, the thing that society ultimately judges me by is my individual contributions. Ergo, that is the be all and end all of existence in society. That's not like an illogical conclusion to come to if you were growing up around capitalism. But yeah, like you take that to its logical extreme, you got like my right to be an individual supersedes your right to not cough to death,
right?
And all that fun stuff. And
it's my interpretation of liberty trumps your achievement of safety and pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, and I think like Margaret Thatcher actually put it pretty succinctly, because like usually it's defined in terms of the individual, because the individual is going to sound like the individual is the thing that can kind of be like heroicized, or heroicized is a word, but you know what I'm saying. Like when Thatcher said there is no such thing as society, I think that's really the emphasis is actually on the negative.
Uh-huh.
It's about the like lack of society or communal living versus, self-actualization through like impulsive actions and decisions.
Mm-hmm. People don't give Margaret Thatcher enough credit. I mean, look at her achievements, personal and political. and all the good works that she, all her good works and all the good things that she achieved. Now, she was a terrible, terrible person with terrible, terrible policies
Well,
who
no,
did
no, no.
horrible, horrible things.
She made a lot of people like very happy a few years ago.
Oh, yes, yes.
People were buying each other drinks, and
Yeah.
Ding Dong the Witch's Dead made it to the top of the iTunes charts.
Yeah, yeah.
And, good times. I remember the bar I was in the night that Margaret Thatcher died, and everybody was just posting and playing pool, and it was a great time. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice. I didn't have the carny party with over it. I also didn't drink to her death, I suppose.
Oh, I did. I'm that edgy.
You're that edgy. You're a better person than I am.
Metallica t-shirt I have on, but I'm not the vanilla boring Daniel that recorded the other episodes of this podcast. I have edge now.
Because of the Metallica t-shirt?
The Metallica shirt, and I'm like drinking beer because people died. And
are you pouring a little bit for the do you pour a little bit for Margaret Thatcher? Yeah, he said you had some beer. Oh, that. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about drinking.
Oh, I just drank it. No, I didn't pour any out. No.
Oh, okay. Well, a little bit in her memory, right?
A little bit more.
Yeah. Right. Well, she did succeed in holding on to the Falklands, so there was that a just war.
I mean, she did what she wanted to do. I don't know if she did what anybody else wanted her to do, but
or what anybody else needed or deserved.
Right. She's not the hero Gotham needed nor the hero Gotham deserved.
Yeah. She was only she was the hero that she needed and deserved.
Wait, did you ever read any Damage Control comics?
I don't remember.
It was in, I want to say, like the very late 80s. Marvel, they did a few mini-series around this construction company that like specializes in fixing buildings after superhero fights.
Oh, that's neat. No, I did not read that.
I feel like that would make a great, like, if Disney Plus needs like a TV show thing, that would be like something. I'm sure somebody's probably pitching that already, but
well, and both the in the Marvel and DC the extended universes, continuing universes, whatever they're called, expected existence, whatever. They've been addressing that kind of stuff in one of the Avengers movies. They get excoriated for a bunch of people that die. I think maybe that Red Sonja killed, or when I want to say, is it Monrovia? Is that Doctor Doom's country?
Sounds right.
Something like that. When stuff goes down with that, a lot of people die. And then in Superman, Superman ends up going in front of there's congressional hearings about all the damage that he caused. And that's part of why Batman goes after him, is because of the people, all the civilian casualties. What do you call it when people
collateral damage?
Yeah, all the collateral damage. He was going after, and there was one specific person that it was tied to, but there was collateral damage. Granted, he was trying to save the Earth, but people died because of his actions. So they've started addressing that somewhat. Although I don't know if they've continued with that.
Did you hear about there's like a Snyder cut of Citizen Kane coming out where they expand Rosebud's character? There's like, right? Because like you watch that movie and there's just not a lot of depth to the Rosebud character, and I think that left a lot of people kind of scratching their heads, and that's why that movie didn't do so well at the box office.
Because they're all like, Rosebud, who is this Rosebud? Why do we see him? I'm so confused. Yeah, like people don't even realize who it is because it's not in the movie enough. Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Well, yeah, there was like, so the original draft of the script was actually titled Rosebud, the Little Sled That Could. But and then the second draft of the script was called like Orson Welles, the little screenwriter who couldn't write about the little sled who could.
Didn't Mank write the screenplay? I saw Mank. I know the truth.
Well, they co-wrote the screenplay, yeah.
Have you seen the movie Mank?
No.
It's pretty clear who wrote it and who didn't. It's pretty clear who wrote it and who took a credit for it.
Oh, okay.
No, in this version, Orson Welles basically pays Mank to get a writer's credit. I mean, he pays him to write the movie, but they negotiate a shared credit. I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, I don't know. I never read a whole lot about the making of Citizen Kane, so
Well, I guess there's some of it in there is the fiction in a Pauline Kael article from a long time ago. So it's not clear what where the truth lies in that.
I mean, the guy to ask about that would have been Rosenbaum.
True. Although
he would have gone off on that for like 20 minutes, I bet.
Yeah, and I was like, and I would just follow up at the end and just say like, I enjoyed Mank, I liked it. I'm less concerned about veracity than cinemacity.
We're presenting alternative trivia.
Yeah, it's all true.
Oh yeah,
it's A, B.
We believe in a multiple universe theory, a multiverse theory.
Right. It's true in Earth 1. It's not true in Earth 2. Earth 3 has a different version as well.
Hashtag not all Earths.
So, yeah, Lost in America. Quite a movie, huh?
Yeah, it's a crisis on a very specific Earth.
Yeah, a movie so strong and so compelling that we've spent about 3/4 of the episode talking about everything but.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, I don't have any like big personal story with the movie. I just watched it at some point. I think we got into like the satire aspect. We got into Brooks, how Brooks is unusual as a comedy performer.
Mm-hmm.
Julie Hagerty. Let's talk about Julie Hagerty for a little bit.
I've always liked Julie Hagerty.
Yeah, she's really good in this.
Yeah, I love
she's
her.
Like, she almost has like this switch she can turn on and off, where she's like quiet, unpresuming, and then she goes into like manic phase.
Uh-huh.
Like I almost feel like a lot of the episode could be her having a manic episode.
Okay, well, yeah, the all that impulsivity associated with the with using all that money. I mean, and the grandiosity.
Yeah, and then like her response after she spends all the money is to hop into a random car hitchhiking.
Right.
That's the point where I was just sort of like, okay, this is really. And also because she was like, oh, please get mad at me, and then he gets mad at her, and then she's just sort of like, I'm gonna go hitchhike out of spite.
Yeah.
Like it seems like she's not particularly grounded, even though at the beginning of the movie she seems completely normal.
Right. Well, and she's very aware about she's unhappy with her life. Right. Doesn't she actually talk divorce? Like she's talking with a coworker. Oh no.
Yeah, she mentions. Yeah, the coworker's like, well, and if it doesn't work, you just get a divorce. And,
right. So it's not Julie Hagerty that says that, but the stuff that she says, it's pretty natural that it would lead to divorce.
And it doesn't seem like a happy marriage. Like they seem very attached to each other, but it feels like one of those marriages where they're the only two people who could possibly deal with each other.
Yeah. Okay. That's right.
Those, right. Like there's that great Onion headline, like, area man gets married, area women all relieved, or something like that.
Yeah, they're not good for each other, but they're the best that but they're perfect for each other.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the social function of romance that doesn't get discussed that much is quarantine. It just like keeps certain people away from the general population for long periods of time.
Wait, you're saying that was you're portraying you're saying that's a positive part of the quarantine, or just it is a feature?
Oh, no, I'm just saying marriage in general. It's just sort of like the two of you can deal with each other, and then we can go on as human civilization and get shit done. And I feel like there's a lot of marriages where that's like the social function of the marriage is to keep your social time with the rest of us at a reasonable volume and quantity,
and have the unreasonable volume and quantity in private, in at home.
Right. Like save that. Save that for the person who said they were gonna like do their taxes with you.
Although there's a real dark and tragic side to that. If I get serious for a moment, all the domestic abuse that goes on, and you've got all these people that were living with domestic abuse that at least got a respite when they were at the office, when they're out at home, and now they've been stuck with their abusers for a year without any escape, without any relief. So yeah, I mean, it keeps all that out of from affecting the rest of us, because it's totally keeping that at home, and it's to the.
Well, yeah, that's like the dark, unhappy side of it, but it also like I haven't had to interact with a yuppie in years because they all married each other.
Well, eventually some of them got divorced.
That's true. And then they remade it's kind of weird. Like my friends' parents from when I was younger, most of them got divorced. Most of them ended up remarrying people who looked exactly like the people they divorced, and I could not tell. I could barely tell the difference between who they were. Hopefully, none of them are listening to the show right now. But yeah, it was just sort of like trading in for not even a newer model. Like it was like the romantic equivalent of, I don't know, like my Laserdisc player broke, so I bought an older Laserdisc player because it was cheap and it was there.
Mm-hmm. It's the same model, except that the dings are on the left side instead of on the right side.
Right.
Huge
And
difference.
there's just a lot of
so how long
hope for romance in one's twilight.
If you met the Albert Brooks character at a party, how long would you spend talking to them?
Can I troll him?
No trolling.
Oh God, 5 minutes, maybe.
What about Julie Hagerty?
I bet I could talk to her for a while.
I think it'd be harder to talk to Julie Hagerty.
It would be harder, but like I feel like there would be
so much more there.
Well, it's just like if the conversation stops, I'm looking at Julie Hagerty. If the conversation stops in the other thing, I'm just like staring at Albert Brooks, like.
Oh, okay. I was thinking in terms of the conversation, but okay, all right. I guess you were making even more realistic than I was. Oh well, see, I'm fine either way. I'm stuck staring at Albert Brooks.
Well, yeah,
Julie Hagerty. So I would choose like Julie Hagerty because I think she'd be much more interesting and much more enjoyable company.
Well, and I think like I'm not attracted to men, but if I'm doing like a mental exercise where I pretend I was, I still think I would find Julie Hagerty a lot more attractive than Albert Brooks.
Okay.
But again, that's purely hypothetical.
Right.
And like Ron over here is like, good, he's all mine.
Well, you know what? I'm getting them both because they're not leaving each other.
That's true. You know what I want? I want the Winnebago. You can keep those two. I get the Winnebago.
Okay. All right. That works out for me. Do I get to live with them in a nice apartment in New York?
I mean, you have to figure that out with them. I'm gonna be out seeing America.
Well, I mean, if
melted cheese.
You got the option of the Winnebago, so of living in the Winnebago. So do I get the option of living at their place? Although I do have a condition. I need my own room.
Right.
I can't share. But that's got to be my own. I need my private space, especially with two other people. Well, one other person, two other people, whatever. I need my space.
So Julie Hagerty was in Airplane. She was in this. What else was she in?
She pops up here and there. I've seen her in some movie in the last few years as a mom, but now she's like the senior mom of an adult child. So she might even have grandkids. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't remember what movie it was, but it's always.
I think adult child is such a great phrase for this movie.
Oh yeah, you're right. They're both adult children. And it comes off first as if Albert Brooks is the adult child, and it takes a little while to realize that she is too. Especially when she goes and blows $190,000 in a matter of a couple of hours.
And I think the movie does a good job of balancing it too, because I think like the logical place to go in the narrative there is, or I guess it's sort of hard in that situation, I think, one character has very obviously and clearly lost the $190,000. You don't really feel like it's less his fault. Like, I feel like throughout the entire movie, their problems are their fault. I never think like, oh, she sucks, specifically because
Yeah.
he made what seems to be the big boo-boo.
Yeah, he makes plenty of boo-boos on his own, so it's all you can. They're couple boo-boos.
Right, like $190,000 is that it's not that bad a price for like if you're that guy to like maintain. I mean, hell, like I don't know, that guy, like you take him out of his apartment in New York, he'd probably like starve to death. He's living a very high maintenance life based on a lot of historical and contextual givens. And anything else you had to say about the movie?
No, not really. Oh, one thing. So I thought I had seen the movie, and my memory of it was that they travel all across America, not just barely making it to New Mexico, which I don't even know if it was part of their route. It's because she jumps in a car to get away from him. So I didn't realize that that's as far as they get. I remembered a movie in which they travel across America, and yeah, they have all sorts of troubles and who knows what, and arguing with each other or whatever whatever happens. But then they also make it all the way to the other side, all the way through. So this was not that movie.
The thing I love about this movie too is that it's like it's such a like you have 30 minutes of setup, and then as soon as they get to Vegas, it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no even like pretending.
It's over very quickly. And it nearly ends their marriage. It ends their remarriage, and it nearly ends their marriage altogether. And the way that and do they have any redemption at all? The closest thing is when they give up and they say, you know what, this was a bad idea.
You know what? It's kind of like oh wait, yeah, this was a movie we were going to cover, but like Boudou Saved from Drowning in reverse. Like Boudou Saved from Drowning, it's this Jean Renoir movie from the 30s, and this homeless guy who has a dog, he accidentally like saves the life of some woman from high society. The high society family adopts him. They're like cleaning him up and they're getting him ready to like marry him off to one of the daughters, and then he goes off to be homeless at the end. Because he's like rediscovering his true nature. And this is like that inverted. Like they go off to do the Easy Rider thing and they realize their true nature is to be yuppies. So I guess there's a self-actualization through humiliation at the end of it.
Self-actualization.
Or maybe not self-actualization, but like they find themselves.
Self-acceptance?
Yeah, something like that. Self-awareness. At the very least, to the extent that they know that they can't live out of a Winnebago.
They say that's not us. We're not capable of this sort of thing. This is what we're capable of. We're capable of me being an ad executive and her being, I forget what she was. She was administrator, was in a school system or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
They both recognize that there's, those humiliating roles. Yeah, I'm going to say he eats crow. No, quote directly. He eats shit. He says, I'm going to eat shit. And she's like, yeah, go eat shit. And they're all very happy about him going to eat shit.
And that scene at the end when they pull the Winnebago up in New York and he's like, oh, what is the name of the guy at the attic? He's like chasing him down the street and the guy's running like it's a horror movie. Oh, actually, that was one thing I did want to point out was when they're having that argument right before she jumps in the car with the rando, it's totally shot like a horror movie. You've got this giant ominous shadow coming out from in front of Albert Brooks, and he's like chasing after her, and the camera's following this like German silent movie shadow the whole time.
Wait, what scene was this?
Oh, and they're in the big argument. They get into the argument in front of the people. They're walking down, or they're walking some kind of sidewalk, and he's just like, how did you lose all the money? How did you lose all the money? And she's just like, I'm going to jump in the first car that,
okay. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and the whole thing about the car, like, yeah, I feel like I've seen so like I remember my parents got into an argument once, and my mother was just like, "I'm walking out of the car." And we were like in the middle of nowhere,
Uh-huh.
and it was just like, where the hell are you gonna go if you're not in the car?
Mm.
I mean, hell, like the hitchhiking thing, like, I guess I never quite had that happen.
I almost kicked someone out of a car.
Moving car?
Threatened to. Well, I was threatening to pull over and tell them to get out. But it didn't help.
Didn't help.
And I didn't do it. I was all bluster. No, wait. All bark, no bite. All bluster.
Yeah, I think all bluster's the whole
thing.
I think that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. That would be cruel. Leave someone on the side of the road like that. Yeah. I mean, no matter how cruel they were being to me, I couldn't verbally. The verbal assault that I was getting, it maybe warranted that, but I couldn't persuade myself to do something cruel like that, even though it was deserved.
I feel like I probably could
drop someone off like that. Oh, well, it's not drop someone.
Maybe not like the middle of nowhere, but I could totally kick somebody out of my car. I mean, I've had to kick people out of my car basically because like I would make like a friend at the open mic. It turned out that like they basically just wanted to use me as like a ride to get various places because they were like sleeping at the Racino. And yeah, like at a certain point, you just got to be like, hey, I'm pulling over at Stewart's here. I'm getting out of Stewart's and I'm going back in the car. See you later, buddy. Because like otherwise, you're going to be like a chauffeur for the homeless. And I say you, like this is the epitome of hashtag Dan problems. But like,
well, you know what the lesson I got out of that?
Yeah.
Don't make friends with people at comedy clubs.
That's probably a good idea. By and large,
that's why I don't make friends with people. Period. It's hard enough with the people I already know, and figuring out how to navigate that, and getting new people involved, and trying to figure out and taking the risk that they are horrible people. I make sure to surround myself with people who aren't horrible. Yeah, so I don't want to meet other people.
And yeah, and that could be you if you buy a cameo from Ron. Oh yeah, I didn't tell Ron about this. Yeah, so we're having a show fundraiser.
What?
$300. You can get a 3-minute private Zoom call with Ron, because I know most of you are going to want to talk to Ron. So like I'm only offering up the stuff we can get good money for in the market. He will discuss the reasons you were meant for each other.
Hey, so what does it take to get a
favorite movie? What?
What does it take to get on Cameo?
Like,
do you have to prove that you're famous somehow? Would saying, look, 88 episodes, that's what a big deal I am?
I think you have to prove that you either like were kicked out of the Republican Party for some reason, or you were on some iteration of Degrassi.
And we already got 2 of those cameos. We got Snake and Paige.
Well, when we say, I sort of received them. Ron was the mastermind, but whenever we finish all of Degrassi, we need to have like a round table with the club as like an episode. Like we collectively finished not even 23 seasons of Degrassi.
Well, we missed the first few, but we can even do a end of season roundtable or after every couple of seasons.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, like, that's what I was saying is like, or at least at the very, very end, just sort of like, how has your life changed after watching 500?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah. I think the transition point where we are now would probably be like season 6. That's when they finally shuffle most of the fuckers off to college and they have new kids.
Okay. Well, we get some of Paige when she goes to college, right?
Yeah, so the first generation of kids that they bring through there, they try to follow a few of them when they're in college. So there's like stupid college like B plots in a lot of the episodes in like 6th, 7th season.
Yeah,
After that, though, none of the character, they just kind of realize like the second you take the show out of the high school, it just dies.
Well, I watched some of not watched. I read on the wiki fandom, whatever it's called, fandom wiki, the Degrassi one. I read all about Paige. So I now have her full story going all the way through college and what happens to her in college and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that because you know who my favorite character is.
It's Paige.
It's Paige. And
yeah, I'm glad we're finally getting some like Jay time.
Some what time?
Jay is my favorite character on the show.
Wait, which one's? Oh, Jay. Oh, no kidding. Is he
Jay, the kid with the backwards baseball cap that's like always hanging out with Spinner?
The hoodlum?
Yeah, the hoodlum. Yeah, he's great.
No, he hangs out with not Spinner, Sean.
Oh yeah, he's hanging out with Sean a lot. Yeah, because they both work on cars.
Yeah. And they both steal stuff.
Right. Yeah, and he's just like, that actor is hilarious.
Jay, yeah, okay. He's kind of funny.
They don't give him anything that great to do until like the 4th season.
Does he become a better person?
Yeah, you could say that.
Because right now he's not a good person.
No, he's pretty awful. I think they kind of sketch in his background a little bit more.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, actually, now that I'm thinking about like season 7, because they like, so he's like involved in the school shooting plotline thing.
Okay.
But then they kind of redeem him, and then he's in the show for a really long time because they can keep him on without having to go to the college.
Because he's
sort of like, he's like the token resident townie character.
Okay.
Which I love because like every high school that size, there's going to be like 1 or 2 or 3 people that are like a little bit too old to be around there, that are just like perpetually stuck in the town at like a food service place.
So does he graduate?
I think he gets expelled.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think him and Spinner get expelled, and then he like just ends up working at the garage.
Does Emma get pregnant?
Not that I remember.
Ah, darn. Does Emma appear in the next? What is it? What's the one that comes after this? This is Next Generation, right?
So this is Next Generation. At season 10, they rename it to just Degrassi, but it's the same show.
Okay.
Season 12, they like renamed it every 20 episodes because they would like advertise it as a block as like, next on Degrassi Under Pressure or whatever, but it's the same show.
Does she ever appear in later seasons or later iterations?
I believe no. So pretty much every character besides Snake and Miss Hatzilakis. No, I think including Miss Hatzilakis and Mr. Radich, actually, they all get written off entirely in the season 9 finale when Emma and Spinner get married.
Okay.
And they pretty much don't show up at all for the season 9 actual show. So like the season 9 finale is sort of like it's like a wrap-up movie. It's like school's out for the first batch of the next gen kids.
Uh-huh. I forgot that you had mentioned before the spoiler that Emma and Spinner get married. So that's why it wasn't a shock.
It's not even really a spoiler. They don't do anything to build up to it. It doesn't make any sense in the moment when it's happening.
Wait, how is it not a spoiler right now?
Well, I don't know. It just doesn't have, like, the actors even say that it's not canon, even though it was on the show.
What's their explanation for not being canon?
It's stupid. I can send you the interview. It's just literally they're on a couch and it's like, yeah, no, this is stupid. They got divorced the next day and Emma's married to Sean now.
Okay, that's fine, but they still got married.
They got married, yeah.
The marriage is real. They got married. They probably could not get divorced that day. Probably they had to wait. They had to wait.
No, like the real thing that would be a spoiler is who Manny ends up with.
Oh.
Because that they do actually set up and develop.
Okay.
But that I'm not giving away. The Emma Spinner thing is just sort of like If you go on a Degrassi message board, someone will spoil that for you sooner than later. That's like it's like the equivalent in Degrassi fandom of like the Simpsons episode where it turns out Principal Skinner isn't actually Principal Skinner.
Oh yeah. Isn't he Yossarian?
Yeah, it's like the real Principal Skinner comes back or something. Or Armin Tamzarian, that's what his real name
Armin
is.
Tamzarian, yeah, okay. I was thinking of Yossarian from
Catch-22.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's
now that first we went on about an hour and 15 minutes about tapes and stuff, and now we went about half an hour about Degrassi. So I think between all this, we've got.
Are we gonna like is like the season 2 running gag gonna be that I spoil Degrassi every episode?
Oh yeah, there we go. I mean, we do say
and
spoilers.
Like,
we just don't
bleep it out.
I'm not sure we really spoiled anything in Lost America, but we spoiled terribly a bunch of Degrassi.
Like Lost in America, I don't know how. Like, I feel like every indication at that party they throw before they go into Winnebago pretty much gives away the rest of the movie.
Well, there's the very end. It's the natural ending. All signs point to yes, right? Or all signs point to no.
If you head out into Winnebago, may you make it to Utah.
Yeah. Which is even what they say at the end of the movie and before the credits roll.
Yeah, that's
avoid Nevada, go straight to Utah.
What happens in Vegas eventually ends up back in New York.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've pulled everything out of Lost America as we're going to pull.
All right, so I'm still Dan.
And I'm still Ron.
We'll see you at the movies.
Take care, everyone.